Back in 1948, an entrepreneur named Charles Lazarus established a children's furniture retailer called Children's Bargain Town. The store began carrying toys, and customer interest in these products surged. Being a sharp business person, Mr. Lazarus observed something crucial. While furniture proves durable and endures for years, toys represent the complete opposite. The business's primary emphasis quickly shifted to toys, and by 1957, Toys R Us came into existence. Does anyone understand the origin of the Toys R Us name? Sure, it clearly indicates they're in the toy industry. But can you figure out why those three words are arranged so unusually, and why it features the letter R? Allow me to remind you of the founder's name, Charles Lazarus. Did that just amaze you? Here's another interesting tidbit. Can anyone guess why the R appears backwards? Well, Charles Lazarus was supposedly a huge enthusiast of the band Korn. Alright, one of those statements is accurate, and the other is a terrible joke. You determine which one. Several years afterward, Geoffrey the Giraffe was introduced as the company's mascot. His original name was Dr. Giraffe, so you can probably see why they changed it. In 1978, Toys R Us launched its initial public offering, allowing anyone to acquire partial ownership by purchasing shares. 5 years following that, they pursued a natural extension with the establishment of Kids R Us, a children's apparel retailer. Honestly, I'm not as fond of this name because Toys R Us specifies their merchandise, while Kids R Us identifies their customer demographic. But children are also the intended audience for Toys R Us. My preference would have been to call it Clothes R Us, since consumers already associate the R Us component with children's products. The clothes element communicates their offerings, and it maintains the naming convention established by Toys R Us. However, I recognize that most corporate names don't necessarily describe their products anyway, so I'm confident other factors contributed to its closure in 2003. But I can't explore those now. This video focuses on Toys R Us, not Kids R Us. I've already devoted excessive time to Kids R Us. 1996 saw the launch of Babies R Us, which despite sharing the same naming concerns as Kids R Us, continues operating today. In 2005, the company was delisted from the stock exchange and converted to private ownership through a leveraged buyout acquisition. Then in September 2017, Toys R Us declared bankruptcy. This is a corporation that started 6 decades ago with origins extending even further back, a business that established the benchmark for toy retail. At any point during the past 3 decades, including currently, if Family Feud surveyed 100 people asking them to identify a toy retailer, the top response on the board would be Toys R Us. And just this week, this company filed for bankruptcy protection. So how exactly did this occur? Quick favor before we dive deeper: if you are enjoying this deep dive into the company's documentary, please like and subscribe. Understanding the debt. The simple explanation is they're carrying excessive debt. But that's obvious. Naturally, they have too much debt. Otherwise, why would they seek bankruptcy protection? Therefore, in my view, the actual question becomes, how did they accumulate so much debt? Let's work through this together, Dora the Explorer style. Here's a chart displaying their long-term debt across the previous 14 years. So which year do you believe we should examine more closely to discover where all this debt originated? Well, something clearly transpired between 2005 and 2006, and I actually already mentioned what it was. In 2005, the company transitioned to private ownership through a leverage buyout. What is a leverage buyout? A leverage buyout occurs when you acquire a company utilizing substantial debt. I can best illustrate this through an example. Suppose I wanted to purchase Toys R Us. The asking price is $10 million, but I only possess $1 million. So I approached the bank attempting to secure a loan for the remaining $9 million. However, I discover I need substantial collateral to obtain a $9 million loan. So I contemplate what assets I have of any significance. My vehicle probably won't suffice. Wait, I know, how about Toys R Us? If I secure the loan, I'll possess Toys R Us, and that can serve as my collateral. So I obtain the loan, and now I have 2 things. I possess Toys R Us, but I also carry $9 million in debt. But in reality, Toys R Us carries $9 million in debt. This represents an incredibly simplified explanation of what occurred in 2005, except it didn't cost $10 million. It cost $6.6 billion. The majority was financed through loans that transferred directly onto Toys R Us balance sheet. So that clarifies the massive debt surge. The risk factor. Now at this stage, I'm certain you're thinking, well, that seems dangerous. And you're absolutely correct. Consider it like securing a mortgage to purchase a house. Once you do that, you'd better maintain a dependable income stream, because once the cash flow ceases, you're at risk of losing your residence. Same situation with Toys R Us. As long as the cash flow remains adequate, there's no concern. But once it declines, well, here we are. This comes from the website Investopedia. Leverage buyouts have had a notorious history, especially in the 1980s when several prominent buyouts led to the eventual bankruptcy of the acquired companies. This was mainly due to the fact that the leverage ratio was nearly 100%, and the interest payments were so large that the company's operating cash flows were unable to meet the obligation. I believe this supports what I just explained. And just in case you require additional evidence, here is from Toys R Us themselves in their annual report from several years back. Our substantial indebtedness could have important consequences, including making it more difficult for us to make payments on the debt, as our business may not be able to generate sufficient cash flows from operating activities to meet our debt service obligations. Here's my argument. When that leverage buyout happened 12 years ago, it was widely understood that one of the major risks of executing it was possible bankruptcy. I realize as outside observers this caught all of us off guard, but for anyone internally or anyone monitoring their financial status over the years, this was no shock. To continue with my comparison, Toys R Us has experienced a salary reduction and is now struggling with their mortgage obligations. Why can't they make payments? But now we face a second question. Why are they unable to make their payments? If everything proceeded according to expectations, there would be no difficulty right now. So why aren't they producing sufficient revenue? This is where our thinking always immediately jumps to criticizing the internet. And I can't dispute that. It's occurring everywhere. However, in defense of Toys R Us, they do appear to maintain a robust internet presence. On their website, they discuss how they launched ToysRUs.com nearly 20 years ago and how it became among the fastest growing sites in the toy and baby products retail categories, and that ToysRUs.com ranks as one of the most frequented sites in their segment. And I observe no contradicting evidence for these statements. Additionally, in 2007, they purchased eToys.com and Toys.com, which further enhanced their online presence. I understand Amazon is practically impossible to rival, but from what I can determine, Toys R Us hasn't exactly been neglecting the online element of their business. Competition and market changes. Another factor to consider are retailers like Walmart and Target that provide similar, if not identical, toy products at reduced prices, not to mention the convenience of acquiring them during your regular shopping excursions. Perhaps it's just because I'm older now, but Toys R Us doesn't appear to carry the same significance it once possessed. Previously, it felt like the destination for toys, and now I perceive it as the costly place to purchase toys. Something I'm inclined to hold responsible for all of this is the overall decline in toy popularity. Just consider it. Children aren't dedicating the majority of their day engaging with toy trucks and yo-yos anymore. It's all centered on technology. Video games are incredible today. It's no longer Pong and Dig Dug. It's Breath of the Wild and GTA 5. Games that could be enjoyed for weeks or months before becoming tiresome. I challenge you to play Pong for longer than several minutes. And naturally, there are the apps and games on smartphones. Why invest substantial money on Legos when most apps are free? The bottom line, the fundamental point, is that Toys R Us isn't performing wonderfully, but they're also not performing terribly. Certainly, they faced challenges selling toys, and trust me, the challenges existed long before the leverage buyout. But it was the debt resulting from the buyout that magnified everything. Back to the comparison, you experienced a salary reduction. Yes, that's unfortunate news, but the reality that you have mortgage obligations to maintain is what makes it catastrophic. Regarding the future of Toys R Us, it's difficult to forecast anything with substantial precision when they're amid a bankruptcy proceeding. But my prediction is that they'll continue operating. It's the type of bankruptcy where you reorganize your debt and remain operational. As far as I can assess, if this debt is handled somewhat better, perhaps they could have some flexibility to address their weaknesses and become more competitive. Maybe develop strategies to reduce prices, establish a more enjoyable atmosphere for children, whatever is necessary. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this. I identified several reasons why they're struggling with their sales, but I'm confident there's many more. If you have any theories, I'd love to hear them. And just as a side note, there were so many fascinating aspects about toys R Us regarding their history and their development that I chose to omit from this video. So if you believe I failed to mention something, I'm sure you're correct. Perhaps when Toys R Us either achieve the turnaround or fails completely, I'll produce a new video about it and have an opportunity to incorporate it all. But for now, head to that comment section and share your thoughts about everything that's happening. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.